Awesome. Welcome to another episode of Fight the Burnout. Today we have a very special guest, Taylor Simpson. She's doing some pretty amazing stuff. I've been following her on Instagram for a little while. My wife's been following her for even longer. My wife literally just signed up to one of her courses actually after I reached out to Taylor to get her on the show. But yeah, we've been following you since back when you're doing bodybuilding stuff because my wife was doing it at the same time as well. And now you're doing amazing stuff helping women all around the world to really align with themselves and that. So why don't I let you tell us a little bit about yourself, your upbringing, what's happened up until now, what you've done in the past, and just
Yeah,
go for it.
I love it. I always love people that have been along the journey since the fitness days, I like to call them, which was like, you know, so long ago, but also not that long ago. And it's kind of crazy to think about that. So amazing. And yeah, so kind of my journey really started when about 7.5 years ago was kind of this next chapter that I'm in right now. And that was at a rock bottom. So at that time I was in a marriage, spoiler alert, now not in that marriage, that wasn't aligned with me because I got into it from a place where I didn't know who I was, therefore attracts also someone who didn't know who they were. And I'd grown up in a family where there was zero communication skills. I wasn't really heard, and so I ended up stuffing down my feelings, and never really knowing how to share them in a safe space. Well, that ended up with me, at my rock bottom at 7.5 years ago, sitting on a couch with my ex-husband, feeling so alone and so lost because I had just, thrown a vase for the umpteenth time, eaten a pint of Ben and Jerry's, a bottle of wine, and just completely out of touch with who I really was. And due to actually like shoving down my emotions with food and not knowing how to communicate, therefore breaking things whenever that there was an argument, it would just like course through my hands. And I remember sitting there thinking, like, this is not who I am. When I was a little girl, I was covered in glitter and loved unicorns and wore tutus, right? Everything I am today. But I lost touch with her. And so the next day I put myself in anger management and Overeaters Anonymous, to get the support to figure out why I ended up going down that path, which led me to self-development, which led me to psychology, neuroscience, energy, and really understanding how I even got there. In doing so, I was sharing my journey on social media, and then eventually, joined a gym to be able to move the energy that was in my body that I was using in not good ways. Sharing that online. And then before I know it, people were asking me for support, how I was staying healthy, how I also was like in the self-development world. And so I ended up creating an online business that ended up growing. I was able to quit my 9 to 5, support people, got a divorce, and just fully went into a space of serving and impacting women and men around the world through mindset. And eventually it turned into what it is today, which is full blown, spiritual expansion and really coming back home to women's truth, and who they are. So now I'm married to my soulmate, who's also on his path, and getting to create our dream life together.
Yeah, Johnny was with us a few weeks ago, and he's so inspiring. Being just everything he's doing. I honestly so wish I could come to his wild man experience. It just,
Yeah.
and, it's just amazing. So that's awesome, Taylor. So Taylor, before we carry on, I like to ask everybody who I interview what they actually define burnout as, because we all have different definitions for it because we've gone through it in different ways. So, what would you define burnout for you as?
Yeah, burnout for me, is definitely when your cup is bone dry and you haven't equally filled it up as much as you have given from it, and therefore you just have nothing more to give, and you end up feeling defeated and tired and not in alignment with what your purpose and your truth is because you have no more to give.
Okay, cool. So, if we look back on your past, obviously your deepest place was eating Ben and Jerry's. Oh, I love Ben and Jerry's. Eating Ben and
Mhm.
Jerry's on the couch, going, "What am I doing?" What is it like? Obviously, you went to the anger management and that. What are the key things that you learned to obviously overcome and get yourself out of that stage, but now also use to prevent yourself from getting back to that stage?
Yeah. That's really deeping it into why I let all that happen in the first place, and understanding my shadows, and healing childhood wounds, and healing um any limiting beliefs, and leading into those fears, and anything that was once coming out in a toxic way, and learning how to actually infuse them with compassion, understanding, and love, and you know focusing on who I want to become. And so when old triggers come up, or if I'm triggered in general, or I feel like my cup is getting dry and I have no more to give, I'll check in with myself and say, okay, like, what's going on here? What's keeping you from filling up your cup? What's keeping you from shifting a story? So just constant micromanagement of my thoughts and my feelings.
Okay, cool. And when those things do come up, what do you do?
That's what I'll shift them. So if it's like a negative
Uh-huh.
thought, a limiting belief, I'll understand where it's coming from, and then pick a more empowering thought.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So yeah,
Mhm.
just for people that don't understand, I mean, you and I talk a lot of the same language. I mean, I don't know if you've done Tony Robbins, or obviously it sounds like you've done a lot of NLP type stuff in that as
Yeah.
well. Is that whole shift? If somebody is unaware of how to do that, like what to
Um,
do, what would you tell
Yeah, it's really asking yourself, like, your body knows. And so if you're like, well, I don't really know how to tell if I'm triggered. Well, if someone said something, or you do something, and it's like a constriction in your gut, and it makes you kind of feel like, oh, like tight, like your body constricts, that's a signal from your body saying, hey, there's something up here that's out of alignment. Therefore, let's lean into it. And that's where you could say, okay, this is in my gut and I'm feeling insecure. Great, perfect. Why are you feeling insecure? What's that rooted in? Was it, and going back to your childhood, did your mom and dad, not give you the attention or support that you wanted? Were you made fun of? Fill in the blank. So really, it's peeling back those onion layers by simply just starting with, where is this in my body?
them?
What's it trying to tell me? By just kind of closing your eyes and tuning in, and then ask those deeper questions. And before you know it, you'll get to the root of why that trigger is coming up in the first place.
Yeah, gotcha. And what about your team? Like I know you have people working for you and you have people doing stuff for you, and that how do you make sure that they don't get burned out?
Yeah, communication. So communication's big. If someone is feeling overwhelmed, we've got a good supportive team, where someone's like, "Hey, can I get you to help with this?" Or if I give a bunch on their plate, I'll delegate it accordingly and say, "Hey, this isn't due until this day." So yeah, that never happened. Like it, that's just communication, letting each other know how each other's feeling.
Okay, awesome,
Mhm.
cool. And you're making it so simple, Taylor. It's so easy. So Taylor, so I'm a huge why guy. I like to know, I believe that everybody's got an inner why that stems from their childhood that really runs them through, that then causes them to go into whatever it is that they're doing, and they change around in that. So, and it also, it gets you through your easy times. It makes the easy times even more enjoyable, but it makes the hard times when you're really pushing hard for things, makes them pretty easy as well. What would you say your why is, Taylor?
My why is to, probably goes with my word of this year, is inspiring. So my why is to constantly surround myself with inspiring people, inspiring conversations, inspiring opportunities, surroundings, and then therefore be able to live my fullest life, my fullest express life, which then inspires other people that are also on that path, maybe if just a few steps behind me. So yeah, my why is to live my dream life while inspiring others to do the same.
Where does it come from?
Where does it come from?
Where do you believe it comes from? Where does it
Um,
start from?
I think it's just like my passion to be myself. And after years of, being bullied for being too much, or, not good enough, where I'm at, I've done enough inner work where now I'm at a place where I'm like, you know what? No, I just want to live my truest self. And it takes too much energy to worry about what other people think about me. Therefore, we've got one life to live. So there's no point in getting wrapped up in other people's stories and projections. And by me not living my truest life, I'm doing a discredit for women who need someone to look up to that is doing that.
Awesome, cool.
Mm.
So, if somebody's struggling to find their why, Taylor, what would you tell them?
Yeah. I mean, getting to the root of like what's the story of keeping you from finding your why in the first place. So if you're like, well, I don't know my why. Well, what's the story why you don't have a why? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. What if I pick the wrong why? What if I fail? All the, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of success. And then once you realize, okay, this is why I've been avoiding figuring out what that is. Now let me lean into what lights me up. What brings me joy? Is that inspiring people? Is that just being happy? Is that being an amazing mom, amazing wife? Doesn't matter, fill in the blank. But then leaning into, okay, what lights me up the most? And then finding something powerful behind that thing that lights you up that will motivate you on those days where you kind of don't want to show up. You don't want to do the thing, but because your why behind that thing that lights you up is so powerful, you have no other option but to get up and go do it.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
So, uh, Taylor, can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do, like what your business is?
Yeah. Kind of like the different things I teach.
Yeah, the different things that you
Yeah.
teach, what it is that you do that lights you up.
Yeah. So I love helping women deepen into their own truth and deepen into their own shadows and childhood wounds and the stuff that isn't fun to uncover. But in order to create a financially, energetically abundant life, you have to. And people I see so many times try to go after success or go after money and do all the things and have the business coaches. But then you can be given all the strategies, all the tools. But if you still have limiting beliefs, if you still have doubts, fear of failure, and you don't know where they come from, those strategies aren't going to work. Like they might work for a little bit, but then they'll stop working because your own beliefs will catch up. And so I'm really passionate about helping people come back to those basics, to those foundations of their own truth. And I do that through clearing your chakra. So I do a lot of chakra work around grounding, sacral, solar, moving up, and allowing people's bodies, physical bodies and energetic bodies, to be clear enough that they have their cup always full. They always know their truth. They're always speaking their truth. Therefore, they can live their own inspiring life.
That's awesome. That so
Mhm.
goes along with like fighting the burnout. If you
Yeah.
are living that true life, you're not getting drained anywhere. You're just
Yep.
living and you're enjoying life and you're having fun.
Exactly.
So what would be your number one piece of advice when it comes to, entrepreneurs, especially? I know a lot of entrepreneurs get burned out quite quickly. What would you say to
Yeah.
them as far as to help prevent themselves from getting burned out?
Yeah, it's if you are making sure that you're filling, again, it's like the cup thing, right? Like it's like if you're filling up your cup in the morning before the rest of the world gets to you, and you are staying in alignment with only what lights you up, saying no to what doesn't light you up, delegating what you don't need to be doing, you'll never burn out. Like if it's the people who get up and go right into work, they end up getting bone dry by the middle of the day because they never actually took time to focus on themselves, check in with themselves. Therefore, all other choices and their energy is dictated off of how other people are living their life. So people they get up and go on Instagram and scroll. They're already now consuming other people's energy, which is depleting their own. So really, for any entrepreneur, is to stay in alignment with what your beliefs are, how you show up, but making yourself a priority first. That's really important for me. My morning routine is about 2.5 hours, and I only work maybe 2 hours a day, but those 2 hours are so potent, and the impact I make in women's lives is because I took so much time to fill my cup up that I have the energy and the ability to like give them 115% of me, not just 99%.
I love that. Yeah, fill yourself up so much that you have so much to give that
Yeah.
you can keep giving and you can impact so quickly, so fast that you don't need to actually you can cram almost 8 hours into two.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so what would your morning 2 hours routine look like? I'm curious.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll get up. I got a whole like water routine. So I get lemon water and B12 and vitamin D and all that. Then I do a little bit of a cacao ceremony. That's a heart opener. So I'll drink some cacao, set an intention around it. I then do usually between like a 30 and 60-minute meditation, whatever I'm feeling called to. And then I'll journal. I'll just stream of conscious journal, just kind of get whatever out of my head, write down what I'm grateful for, set my intentions. I'll read a book for maybe 30, 45 minutes, and then I'll pull some oracle cards, and then do some movement, whether that's, some sun salutations, some breath work, but something to really kind of get the blood going. But that's like my rinse and repeat morning routine every morning.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, routine. Routine is one of the biggest things. I feel like people that are super successful have a routine, a self-care routine, a daily routine. They have everything scheduled out so they know what they're doing. They have time scheduled into their time to do nothing.
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
um,
I got a lot of white space on my calendar where there's nothing's allowed to ever go there.
yeah, no, I love that. I love that. I'm about to do a 3-week motorcycle trip just because I'm like, I want to go do nothing.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
meditate. My motorcycle is meditation for me.
Yeah,
Um,
love it.
Awesome. So, Taylor, how does somebody get in touch with you if, say, they're interested in your programs, your courses? Also,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about your courses in that as well, because that way people actually know as well.
Yeah. I've got, thank you for asking. Yeah, I've got Ascend, which is my main program, and it opens up at the end of February. But that's really going through each of the chakras. So the actual ascension process of first getting rooted, getting in your root chakra, uncovering money blocks, uncovering safety blocks, and then going into your sacral, which is your sexuality, and then up to your confidence, all the way to your throat, speaking your truth. So it's literally clearing that pathway into your higher self, leaving feeling more aligned, leaving more truth to be spoken of yourself. Therefore, you're able to create and be a magnet for more higher frequency opportunities. So there's Ascend. That's my main thing. And then I've got my membership, which is the Abundant Life Experience. And that is a container for women who are wanting to begin to deepen into the shadow work, into the money mindset, into the limiting beliefs. It's kind of like their first stop, and then Ascend is the second level. And so I've got those two programs, but really I'm on Instagram. That's kind of my thing. My handle is at I am Taylor Simpson, and that's like the best way to reach out to me and see how I can support you.
Awesome, perfect. Yeah, so we'll put the link for Taylor's Instagram in the description of this podcast as well
Amazing.
as we'll drop her Ascend link in there as well. I know
Perfect.
you're taking applications for it at the moment. So Taylor, last question I like to ask everybody is, what is the number one thing? And I know I'm pretty sure you're going to repeat what you said in the very beginning. But what is the number one thing that you would tell viewers to help prevent or counter burnout?
Mm. Yeah, make yourself a priority. Like make you, even if you're a mom, a wife, doesn't matter. You can only be the best mom unless your cup is full. You can only be the best wife unless your cup is full. I like to call it being full of self isn't selfish. People are like, oh, you're so selfish taking your own time to yourself. It's like, no. I'm full of self. That way I can make sure that I have enough to give. So be full of yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That is, it's so true. I mean, I tell my clients in a way, I'm like, go be selfish, because if you're being selfish
Yeah,
for a purpose, you're not actually being selfish in the terms of selfish,
exactly.
because you're actually coming back and you can actually look after yourself.
Yeah,
You can look after your
yeah,
family. You can then actually perform at a high level at work. You know,
exactly.
I'm an ex-police officer, and when I was in the police, the times when I performed the best was when I was actually taking care of myself.
Yep,
Overall, I didn't
always.
actually do it, and I ended up extremely burned out. That's where the passion for this came. So,
Mm,
awesome, Taylor. Is there anything that you'd like to add for viewers and listeners out there, like any wise words or last words that you'd like to add?
yeah, just really it's making the inner work a priority. Kind of like I was saying, it's really easy to jump to like, what's step D and E and F to create the life of my dreams. But if you're not pausing and going inward first, all of that isn't, it'll work short term but not long term. So make doing the heavy, icky, not so fun work a priority. That way you can actually excel to where you want so much faster, if you just pause and do the inner shadow work, the spiritual work. And then that way when you go do the thing and chase after your dreams, you are coming at it from such a high frequency, in a place of gratitude and knowing yourself. Therefore it's going to, again, magnify you at a whole nother level.
There you go. You've heard it from Taylor.
Yeah.
Awesome, Taylor. Well, thanks very much for being on this
Mhm.
episode. It's been amazing hearing it from you. I know, like, you live, eat, and breathe this kind of just like I do. It's like constantly I'll say no literally every single day, at least probably 10 times to people, because I'm like, no, I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Taking care of my family, things like that. So for everybody listening, go follow Taylor, go have a look. Some of her videos are absolutely hilarious, but then there's also, you know, there's always really good things from them that you'll learn. Also, if you feel like you are burning out, or you feel like you don't want to get there, or you want to perform at a higher level, you know, reach out to Taylor if you feel like you resonate with her, or reach out to us at Fight the Burnout Podcast at gmail.com, and we'll touch base with you. You know, we were constantly running programs and that to help people, coaching and that. But ultimately, my motto is always train hard, test easy. The reason is because if we don't train ourselves hard and constantly take care of ourselves, then when we get tested, it becomes extremely hard, and that's when we start to burn even more. So till next time, we love you all, and we will talk to you soon. Remember, like, subscribe, hit all those alarm bells, the notifications, and we will talk to you next time.